Okay, hello. So this is my update video on Delphina, and I'm sitting here in my favorite cemetery. I know it seems a little bit morbid, but it's just so beautiful here. So peaceful. So I decided I'd finally do this update. Sorry, life is kind of taking me by the throat these last few months. I'm sweating profusely because it's very hot out. It's like heat index of like 477 probably. So I went and saw Delphina, and it was amazing. It was the most healing experience of my life. Words can't describe what that did for me on a level that I needed so badly. I was just so grief-stricken, and it just was so healing and amazing. I mean, this woman is the real deal. She is truly a medium. Like, you think Teresa Caputo, Long Island medium, she's got nothing on Delphina. She's fucking awesome. Awesome. Like, I feel like she's my cosmic soul sister. So I went and saw her, and she was just, it was like affirmation after affirmation. You know, like, my mom was definitely there. She was able to tell me things that nobody else would know, minor things that you'd never think, you would never think that would even matter. She was able to tell me just personal things that, Reese feels good. Things that just are things that you don't think of until you're in that situation. And even she was telling me things that I'm like, that doesn't ring a bell. And then I was driving home and I'm like, oh my God, I made the connection. I would recommend, like, everyone to go see this woman before she gets, like, uber famous and cost $1 million to go see her. I've recommended her to so many people. It is such a spiritual, amazing way to heal and get over the loss of a loved one, is to actually talk to them. It's indescribable. And I was so lucky. Like, this last weekend was my mother's death anniversary. And I had a huge party. It was August 24th. It was 6 years that she's been gone. And I had a huge party at my house with all of her family. My grandma flew in. My cousin was in with his new baby. My aunt, my uncle, all their kids. I mean, it was just like this huge party. And I made my mom's potato salad, which I'm not a cook by any means. And I talked about seeing the medium to my relatives, and everybody was just blown away by the things that she told me. And then on Sunday, a friend of mine actually messaged me about seeing a medium, and he wanted her information. So I gave it to him, and I'm like, book now, because it's going to take you at least a year to a year and a half to get in to see this lady. So Monday comes around, which is yesterday, so today's Tuesday. Monday comes around, and I'm on lunch with my girlfriend, and we're sitting in her car in the parking lot, like concrete parking lot, parking garage, top roof, and I see a dragonfly, and I'm like, you know, and she has lost her mom as well, so we're in the Dead Moms Club together, and I see a dragonfly, and I'm like, oh, there's my mom. I'm like, hi, Mom, you know, that's a sign of my mother. And she's like, oh, really? Mine is butterflies. And I'm like, oh, mine's dragonflies. And you know, when after she passed, I saw them everywhere, so I just knew that was a sign of her. And so now, of course, I have dragonfly everything, because it's a sign of my mother, as seen in my previous video. Anyway, so I saw this dragonfly, and we're talking, and then, boom, another dragonfly, and in the middle of a parking lot flies by, and I'm like, oh, there's another one. I'm like, that's totally my mom. Like, she's just saying hi. And we go back to lunch, whatever. My phone rings. My cell phone rings at my desk at like 1:30. And it's a Chicago number. And I'm like, I wonder who this is. So wait, I'm sorry. Totally backtrack. Back up real quick. after I had my appointment with Delphina in April, I immediately booked my fiance and my aunt, my mom's sister, and me to see her again. And the soonest available date was June 12th of 2014. And it was April. So it was so ironic because June 12th is my mom's birthday. Like, of all days to pick, 365 days, like, they picked June 12th for us to go have this reading in 2014. So anyway, fast forward again. So I go and I answer my phone and I'm like, hello? You know, really quietly, because I work at a cube, in a little cubicle. And this woman's like, Jenna? And I'm like, yes. She's like, this is Marie, Delphina's assistant. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, hi. She's like, hi, how are you? I'm like, I'm great. She's like, I have 2 cancellations, one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. Do you want to come in? And I was like, oh my God, I have to work. Like, I have a full-time job now. I'm like, I can't. And she's like, okay, well, what do you need in the future? Like, you know, a week's notice? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. I get off the phone and I'm thinking, I'm like, this is synchronicity at its best. Like, this is no coincidence. There's a reason. Like, I'd seen the 2 dragonflies and had her death anniversary 2 days before, 2 days before, and had referred people to her on Sunday. It was just, no, it was not a coincidence. It was totally synchronicity and something that was meant to happen. Like, my mother had a message for me. So I quickly texted her back and I was like, do you still have an appointment? This is so weird. Like, I feel like this is meant to be. I'm compelled to come see you. Like, I have to. And she's like, I have a Tuesday at 1 still. And I was like, oh my God, I'll take it. So now today is Tuesday, and I went and saw Delphina. I was so blessed and so lucky to have seen this woman twice in the last few months, like, where people wait a year to a year and a half to see her. And immediately, like, we just, you know, like, we just have this connection. She's so fucking rad. Like, I just love this woman. And her assistant, girlfriend, Marie, is awesome. Like, they're just so cool, down to earth, and, like, the real deal. So, I had a reading today, and immediately she hugged me and she started, like, shaking me and grunting, and she's like, your mom is making me do that. Who does that? And I'm like, God, I don't know. You know, you're always so, like, put on the spot when you're talking to a medium, because they're throwing things at you and you're like, oh, I don't know, who is it? I don't know a P name. I don't think I know what this means. And then it always comes to you later and you're like, oh my God, now that it makes sense now. But I'm like, I don't know, I think my kids. And now, of course, I'm thinking, like, really, I think we do it to our kids. Like, when we pick them up and stuff, like, we hug them and we grunt and we shake them and just, like, love on them. But so we go into her office and we sit down, and she's just, like, so stoked to see me and talk to my mom again, because she just loves our energy so much, and she thinks my mom's hilarious and bossy and just, like, amazing, which she was and she is. And right away she wrote down, she's writing stuff, and she's like, what's with August? I know it's August now, but what's with August? And I'm like, it was my mom's death anniversary on Sunday. And she turns her paper around like Teresa Caputo. She's all like, and it's like, it says August passing circled. And I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, first of all, I just have to say that your mom needs me to say this. She said, I want to thank me, and she's referring to herself. She's like, my baby feels so much lighter now. Thank you for bringing her back to me. And that just rung like bells and whistles and just alarms in my head, like, since seeing Delphina for the first time and talking to my mom for the first time in almost 6 years, I feel like a part of me has come back, because I felt so lost for so long without her, and having my kids so premature, and I felt like I needed my mom. And she just said, my baby feels lighter, and she feels lighter now, and I want to thank you for bringing her back to me. And then she started just doing other, affirmations, and she brought up she's like all about babies. She loved children, and Delphina's like, your mom is all about the babies, and what's with this tribute, and what's with this montage, like this video, and I'm like, Facebook. I always do a tribute to my mom on Facebook, and she turns her paper around and it says FB, and I'm like, she's like, you can't make this stuff up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then she's like, what's with the funny Halloween picture? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Delphina, I have to show you. And she's showing me like a funny Halloween picture, and I'm like, holy shit. And I show her the picture of my family when me and my brother were like goth kids, and my parents dressed up as us for Halloween, and she was laughing, and she's just like, oh my God. And I was like, no way. I was blown away. And she said that my mom is also validating that I'm learning to communicate with her, which I have been trying so hard since my last session in April, and I'm getting closer and closer, and it was so nice to hear that my mom knows that I'm trying to communicate with her, and that she's validated it. She actually said she's validating that I'm learning to communicate with her, and that's just awesome. And then Delphina brought up the dragonflies, and she said, you're summoning them. And I'm like, no. And she's like, you're summoning these dragonflies. She's like, that's your, and she starts crying. She's like, that's your symbol. She's like, my dad's symbol, who's been gone for decades, is feathers, and I found a feather today. And she starts crying, and she's like, you're summoning these dragonflies because that's your way of, saying hello to your mom, and that's your mom saying hello to you. And she said, you guys were like a dynamic duo, and we truly were. I mean, me and my mom were the best of friends, and she said that she's so proud of me, and that on no level was I ready to let her go when she passed, and that I actually told her, you can't go, and I did. She was on her deathbed, and I begged her not to leave me. And she told Delphina that she'll never leave me, and that she'll always be by my side. And I know she will. It just sucks that I have to go to somebody to talk to her. So that's why I'm making it my mission to learn how to talk to her myself, because I miss her so, so much. Then she talked about my kids, and not a day goes by that she's not with my children and with me, and not a day goes by that she knows that I'm always talking to my kids about their Grandma Susu. And when I ask them, where's Grandma Susu, my daughter says, in heaven. And I said, she's your angel. And she told me that, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I took notes because I didn't want to forget anything. She said that, you're doing great, and she's so proud of me, and that I'm a great mom, and she knows that when I get stressed out and sometimes overwhelmed and feel like giving up, that I call out to her and I ask for her help, and she hears me, and she knows she's always with me, and that she is so proud of the mother that I've become. And then she brought up high school. and how I was different and how she always defended me. And she talked about that like she had to defend me to the deans and teachers, and she told Delphina that that I'm gonna be the same way with my kids. And I'm like, absolutely, I already am the same way. And then she called me Mama Bear, and I'm like, that's my name, that's what I've been called, like that's what the way we refer to me since I got pregnant is like Mama Bear. And then she started talking about my relationship with my kid's father and just a bunch of stuff that ring very true and very scary, and I don't know really how to process that right now. She told me that she gave me a lot of really good advice. I really can't share because it's just very personal. But there's no doubt in my mind that my mother was with me today, and that she was with me in April when I saw her for the first time. And if I could urge anybody who's ever lost somebody to help get over that pain, that grief, that wall, to go and see a medium and speak to that loved one. It is the most healing, amazing process. You'll never, ever stop hurting for that person. But you don't have to live so heavy and with so much grief. And it's so important to know that, because I lived for so long feeling so much grief and feeling like my mom didn't fight hard enough and feeling like she gave up. And in that first session that I had with her in April, the first words out of Delphina's mouth was, "Your mom needs you to know that she fought as hard as she could and that she is happy and free." And that just solidified everything, because I never felt her presence, and I felt like she gave up at the end. And she made sure I knew right away. And I was mad at her for a long time for leaving me. And she told Delphina, I want to thank you for not hating me anymore. She said that to me. I want to say thank you for not, blaming and letting go. And I do. I feel lighter. I feel more connected. I feel my vibration is raised. I feel more spiritual. I feel like we are all so connected, and life is so, so short. And you have to find happiness within yourself. And this was happiness for me. This was happiness. It's a little slice of heaven here on earth when you get to speak to somebody who's passed, that you haven't spoken or heard their voice in so long. It's definitely a little slice of heaven. And I got to experience that. So that was my amazing experience with Delphina, the psychic medium. in Chicago. She does have about a year's wait time. She's worth it. It goes by fast. The first time I waited 10 months to see her. This time I was supposed to wait like 13, and by some God-given synchronicity reason, I got to see her August 27th instead of June 12th, 2014, which is her birthday. But I do plan on going again. Probably as much as I can, until I can learn to communicate with her on my own, which I'm working on, and we'll keep you posted on how successful I am at that. Anyway, this is a really long video, and I apologize, but maybe this will help somebody take the leap and call a medium, or get in touch more with their spiritual side, or try and channel that part in yourself, because we all have it. We're just vibrational beings of light and love. Amazing, amazing experience. And I just want to say thank you, Mom. And I love you. Thank you for watching. Till next time, this is my view.